Washington, Ukraine is currently not using the US-provided Abrams M1A1 battle tanks against Russia, partly because Russian drone warfare has made it difficult for them to operate without being detected or attacked, two U.S. military officials told the Associated Press. The U.S. agreed to send 31 Abrams tanks to Ukraine in January 2023 after Kyiv's aggressive months-long campaign arguing that the tanks, each costing around $10 million, were crucial for its ability to break through Russian defense lines. However, the battlefield has changed substantially since then, especially with the widespread use of Russian reconnaissance and hunter-killer drones. These weapons make it difficult for Ukraine to protect the tanks as they are quickly detected and hunted by drones or Russian artillery. The proliferation of drones on the Ukrainian battlefield means there's no open ground you can move across without fear of being detected, a senior defense official told reporters on Thursday. The official spoke anonymously to provide an update on U.S. weapons support for Ukraine ahead of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group meeting on Friday. The U.S. will work with Ukraine to reset tactics for now. The tanks have been moved away from the front lines, and the U.S. will work with Ukraine to reset tactics, said Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Admiral Christopher Grady and a third defense official who confirmed the move anonymously. When you think about how the fight has evolved, massed armored vehicles in an environment where unmanned aerial systems are ubiquitous can be risky, Grady told AP in an interview this week, adding that the tanks remain important. Now, there are ways to do it, he said. We will work with our partners in Ukraine and other partners on the ground to help them think about how they can use them in this current changing environment where things can be seen immediately. News of the sideline tanks comes as the U.S. marks the 2-year anniversary of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group, a coalition of about 50 countries that meets monthly to assess Ukraine's battlefield needs and identify where to get ammunition, weapons, or maintenance necessary to sustain Ukraine's military equipment. The recent aid package, including a $1 billion military aid package signed by President Joe Biden on Wednesday, also reflects a broader shift for Ukrainian forces in the continually evolving struggle. The U.S. is expected to announce on Friday that it will also provide about $6 billion in long-term military aid to Ukraine, American officials said, adding that the aid will include much sought-after ammunition for Patriot air defense systems. The officials spoke anonymously to discuss details not yet made public. New U.S. funding for anti-drone capabilities. The $1 billion package emphasizes counter-drone capabilities, including specially modified .50 caliber rounds to counter drone systems, additional air defense and ammunition, and a number of cheaper alternative vehicles, including Humvees, Bradley infantry fighting vehicles, and mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles. The U.S. also confirmed for the first time that it is providing long-range ballistic missiles known as ATACMS, allowing Ukraine to strike deep into Russian-occupied territory without advancing and exposing themselves to drone detection or reinforced Russian defenses. Although drones are a significant threat, Ukraine has also not adopted tactics that could make the tanks more effective, said one U.S. defense official. After announcing it would provide Abrams tanks to Ukraine in January 2023, the U.S. began training Ukrainians at the Army base in Grafenwehr, Germany, on how to maintain and operate them. They also taught Ukraine how to use them in combined arms warfare, where tanks operate as part of a system of advancing armored forces, coordinating movements with overhead offensive fire, infantry forces, and air assets. As spring progressed and Ukraine's much-anticipated counteroffensive stalled, the transition from tank training in Germany to deploying the Abrams on the battlefield was seen as essential to breaking through Russian defense lines. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced on his Telegram channel in September that the Abrams had arrived in Ukraine,